Hey everyone, welcome to A&R Black Hats. I'm Glitch. This is a glitch in the system. It is a new video that I'm going to be doing. This is completely geared towards new players. Just trying to ease them into the game. I know that there's a lot of jargon and terms, and you may not understand the differences between some of the different corporations, some of the different runners. So I'm here to try to ease you into that, and I hope you really enjoy. Alright, so first I want to talk about meta. Meta you're going to hear absolutely everywhere. Read it everywhere, you're going to hear people talking about it. And it could be kind of confusing when you hear people just say meta this, in on my meta, in the meta. So firstly, meta stands for metagame. Just to give you that little bit of information. What the meta is a certain playing area. So you'll hear people talk about your local meta. It's literally your local group of players. Around here, we go to Just by Chance games in Waterloo, which would be considered my local meta. What people are referring to when they're talking about your meta or the meta is you'll make certain card choices based on what other people are doing. So in some areas, you're going to find Wayland is really big. Wayland will probably try to kill you with Scorched Earth. So you'll find a lot of people are playing 3 copies of Plascrete Carapace just to protect themselves. Some other places you're going to find a lot of people play Anarchs, so there's going to be a lot of Anarch hate out there in your decks. None of this is technically bad, none of it's typically good, it's just how your area plays. It can be a little confusing when you're traveling outside of your normal meta, because your decks are geared towards people that you normally play against or that you're assuming you're going to play against. So when you hear people talking about meta, when you're describing something or when somebody's trying to describe something, they'll usually say local meta. If they're not saying local meta and they're saying meta, typically they're talking about the game in general. What you might see at Worlds, what you might see at Nationals, people coming in from all different metas and just assuming these are the big decks that are out there. These are when you read something and you're like, wow, NBN is everywhere. Whether it's big in your area or it's not big in your area, you're going to hear NBN is everywhere. So when you're going to a bigger meta, you usually want to practice for that sort of thing. The next thing I'm going to talk about is Splash. People talk about Splash, they're referring to your influence. Cards that aren't in the faction that you're playing right now. So for example, when you're playing Shaper and you want to splash for Parasite, that's literally you're just using the influence and putting it into your deck. That's all they're talking about. So next up is mill or milling. Most of this you're going to see in a noise deck because that is his ability. What a mill or milling is, it's an old Magic term referred to a card called Millstone, where they're literally just taking cards from your deck and throwing it into your discard pile. So for example, Noise, every time he plays a virus, he's going to be putting, or you're technically going to be putting cards from your deck into your archives. Milling can also be referred to for your hand as well, thanks to new cards called like Wanton Destruction, where they're just making you discard. It's a technical mill, but that is what they're talking about, is just placing cards that you would normally have in your deck or in your hand and pitching them into your discard pile. Next up is Tutor. Tutor, again, is an old Magic term. There were cards that would search for other things. That's what tutoring is. So something like Special Order is a tutor for Icebreakers. Self-modifying code or test run is a tutor for program. Anytime you hear anyone talk about tutor, that's literally what it is. It is a search card. Tag and Bag. You're going to hear Tag and Bag a lot. It's mostly referred to Wayland. What it is a process of assuring that the runner is getting a tag from some source, whether it's Data Raven, C source, mid-season replacements, making sure that you are tagging the runner in order to use a card like Scorched Earth or the new one, Traffic Axe. Tag and Bag could refer to other things. If you end up dying technically to a snare, you've been tagged and bagged, but typically that's what they're talking about, is a Scorched Earth deck where they're tagging the person and then killing them, throwing them in a body bag. You're going to see a lot of shortened terms such as FA, NA, AA, IAA. What these refer to is FA is fast advance. Fast advance decks are trying to score their agendas directly from their hand, doing an install and immediately putting enough advancement tokens on the agenda to score it immediately, so that the runner doesn't even have the chance to run at the server. NA refers to never advance. This is a term where you're placing cards down that can be advanced in one turn, but you don't want to advance them yet. You want the runner to want to guess whether it's an agenda, whether it's some sort of asset or upgrade. You're trying to trick the runner into making bad decisions because they have no idea what you're doing. IAA is install, advance, advance. That is just putting something from your hand, such as an agenda or an advanceable asset, putting it from your hand, putting 2 advancement tokens on it, and then passing your turn as the corporation. You'll also see AA, which is always advance. The deck is comprised of cards that whenever you put them into play, you immediately advance them, trying to trick them into whether you're pretty much trying to say run at it. So there's advanceable traps like aggressive secretary, like cerebral overwriter, that you're trying to get the runner to run into. Again, making them second guess whether they should do it or not, because it's either an agenda or it's a trap that they really don't want you to run, that you really don't want to run into. Rush. Now, people get confused between fast advance and rush. What a rush deck is trying to do is it's close to what fast advance is trying to do. Fast advance is trying to score their agendas immediately. Rush is trying to take them from hand and get them scored, but without the help of stuff like Sand, City Grid, Psychographics. That in this case, you're trying to put down a single piece of ice and throw an agenda behind it immediately, trying to score it out in the second or third turn. You'll find a deck out there. It's an older deck now called Super Modernism. This was the whole point of this deck, was trying to rush it out, trying to put a clock onto the runner to make bad choices again. The whole point was that you were trying to get your agendas out, and they were then going to be put onto a clock and try to run, to which you were going to hit them with a snare, put a tag on them, and then scorch them. Again, it was another form of tag and bag. But rush is literally that, just trying to put down a single piece of ice into making a scoring server, and trying to get agendas out as fast as you can before they get their icebreakers to pop past it. Out of hand, typically you're going to be hearing this in a fast advance. You're scoring out of hand, which means that you're taking an agenda from your hand and immediately scoring it. A lot of the time you're going to see like a 2-for-1 agenda, which is an agenda that is a 2 advancement token requirement for 1 point, such as hostile takeover, such as breaking news, where you're literally scoring it right out of hand. Fast Advance does this the best because they have all the tools out there in order to do this. Thank you for watching my video. Remember to like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/ANRBlackHats, and to subscribe to us on YouTube at www.youtube.com/ANRBlackHats.